You feel it before you can explain it. The silence, the distance, that strange shift in energy that makes your chest tighten and your thoughts run wild. One day they are warm, close, fully in it. The next day they feel far away, hard to reach, like smoke slipping through your hands. And then the questions start. What changed? What did I do? Why do they pull close just to disappear again? But wait, because this is where most people get it wrong. Their leaving is not always the ending. Sometimes it is the pattern. And the more you chase, the faster they run. The calmer you become, the more they feel something pulling them back. That is the twist. That is the rule nobody tells you. And by the end of this, you are going to see this whole thing in a completely different way. Not as a mystery, not as proof you were not enough, but as a pattern you can finally understand. Stay with me, because the last part is the part that changes everything. Once you see what is really happening, you stop begging for clarity, stop drowning in mixed signals, and start becoming the kind of presence they cannot easily forget. Not because you force it, not because you play games, but because something inside your energy shifts, something quiet, something strong, something that makes distance work for you instead of against you. And once that happens, the whole story starts to change. People who pull away like this often live inside a deep inner conflict. One part of them wants closeness. They want warmth, affection, connection, and that feeling of being deeply seen. But another part gets scared the second things begin to feel real. The moment closeness gets deeper, their system reads it like pressure. Their mind says, slow down, step back, get space, protect yourself. So what feels confusing to you often feels necessary to them. They are not always leaving because they do not care. Many times they leave because they do care, and they do not know how to hold that much emotion without feeling trapped by it. That is why this hurts so much. You are reacting to connection. They are reacting to fear. You move closer because you want to fix it. They move back because they need relief. Then the cycle starts. You reach, they retreat. You panic, they shut down even more. And if this has happened to you, hear this clearly. Their distance is not always a clean measure of your worth. It is often a reflection of their inner alarm system. The more personal you make it, the more power you hand over. The moment you stop treating their withdrawal like a verdict on your value, you begin to stand differently. And that is where your power begins to return. Watch this closely, because this one shift changes the whole game. You stop reading every pause as rejection. You stop treating every silence like proof that you are not enough. And once that happens, you finally get your footing back. Most people lose themselves right here. They feel the space open up and they rush in to close it. They send the long message. They ask for answers. They replay old moments. They explain more, offer more, push more, hoping more effort will bring back safety. But that reaction, as normal as it feels, often creates the exact thing that makes the other person go even farther. Chasing carries energy. It is not only what you do, it is the feeling underneath it. Fear, urgency, scarcity. The silent message that says, I need this fixed right now, or I cannot feel okay. And that is what becomes heavy. That is what they feel before they even process your words. So the harder you try to hold on, the more crowded they feel, the more emotional force you bring, the more they feel the need to escape. It is a brutal loop, because your instinct tells you to do more, while the truth is asking you to do less. Not less from coldness, less from panic, less from desperation, less from that frantic need to pull clarity out of someone who is already overwhelmed. Remember this line because it matters. When you stop chasing movement outside of you, you finally create movement inside of them. That does not mean silence guarantees a return. It means calm changes the dynamic. Big difference. And if you keep listening, you will understand why some people lose attraction by pushing harder, while others quietly rebuild it by becoming steadier, calmer, and far more difficult to forget. This is where everything starts turning in your favor. The first real shift is emotional steadiness. Not pretending you do not care, not acting numb. Real steadiness means you feel what you feel, but you do not let it throw you into chaos. Their late reply is not a reason to fall apart. Their quiet mood is not an emergency. Their need for space does not erase your value. When you begin to hold yourself this way, your entire presence changes. You stop reacting to every small move like it controls your emotional weather. You stop turning uncertainty into proof that something must be wrong with you. You become harder to shake, and that kind of grounded energy is rare. It feels safe, it feels mature, it feels different from the usual push and pull they are used to. When someone expects panic and gets calm instead, they notice. When they expect pressure and get poised, they notice. When they pull back and realize your whole identity did not collapse because of it, they notice that too. This is not about punishing them with silence. It is about refusing to abandon yourself just because they stepped back. That difference is everything. A calm person is magnetic because calm signals inner strength. It says, I care, but I am not collapsing. I am present, but I am not begging. I am open, but I will not chase you into your own fear. And the truth is, that kind of stability can do more than 100 emotional speeches ever will. Because people believe energy faster than they believe words. If that hits, stay with me, because it gets even more powerful from here. Then comes something even stronger. Real mystery. Not fake mystery. Not childish games. Real mystery happens when your life is full enough that it cannot be fully explained in one talk, one social post, or one late-night check-in. When your world has movement, meaning, rhythm, and depth beyond them, you stop feeling like someone standing at the door waiting to be chosen. You become someone living, someone building, someone growing. That shift changes how they see you and how you see yourself. If you are always available, always explaining, always trying to prove where you stand, there is no room for curiosity to breathe. But when you are busy creating a life that matters to you, something changes. They start to wonder. They start to notice what they can no longer fully predict. They see your energy is not frozen in place. They feel that you are moving forward with or without their approval. And curiosity is powerful. It creates a pull that pressure never can. This does not mean disappearing to create fake tension. It means becoming so engaged with your own life the distance no longer turns you into a detective of their behavior. Your focus returns to your body, your work, your peace, your joy, your goals, your friendships. And that alone gives your presence a different shape, one that feels lighter, richer, and more alive. Watch carefully, because this is where the script begins to flip. You stop being the person trying to get picked and start becoming the person whose energy is naturally hard to ignore. That is the shift. Quiet, powerful, unmistakable. Quiet confidence is what makes all of this believable. Without it, calm can look like withdrawal, and mystery can look like strategy. But confidence gives it warmth. Confidence is not loud. It does not need to prove itself. It shows up in your timing, your tone, your posture, your choices. It is the way you answer without over-explaining. The way you can smile without needing constant reassurance. The way you keep building your life even when things feel uncertain. This kind of confidence sends a strong message without saying a word. I know my worth even when you are inconsistent. That message lands deeply, because when someone feels that your self-respect is real, your presence feels solid. You are not trying to be impressive. You are simply no longer available for emotional chaos to define you, and that changes the chemistry. The small details matter more than people think. A measured response instead of a flood of emotion. A light tone instead of hidden resentment, a boundary shared calmly instead of thrown like an explosion. These little moments shape how you are felt. They create the emotional climate around you. And attraction is often less about one dramatic action and more about the atmosphere you create over time. If your energy says peace, self-trust, depth, and independence, people feel it even if they cannot explain it. And yes, this is often where some of them begin drifting back. Not because you begged them to, because the version of you they now feel is steadier, stronger, softer in the right ways, and much harder to walk away from without wondering what they lost. Now, let's talk about drama, because this is where attraction often breaks. Big reactions, emotional dumping, guilt, pressure, repeated demands for certainty. All of it may feel honest in the moment, but too much intensity can push a fearful person deeper into distance. That does not mean your feelings are wrong. It means timing and delivery matter. There is a huge difference between expressing yourself with self-respect and pouring your panic into someone who already feels overwhelmed. One creates connection, the other creates escape. If they go quiet and you immediately spiral, they feel the wave before they even read your message. If they pull back and every conversation becomes a crisis, they begin to link closeness with emotional exhaustion. That is why no drama energy is so powerful. It is not flat, it is not fake, it is regulated. It means you can feel hurt without becoming destructive. You can feel confused without turning it into a courtroom. You can want answers without trying to squeeze them out of someone who is already shut down. And when you respond with restraint, something important happens. The pattern loses fuel. The old script does not get the reaction it used to get. The heat drops, space opens. They can think. They can breathe. They can actually feel the absence of your chase. And sometimes what makes someone move closer is not intensity, it is relief. Relief from pressure, relief from chaos, relief from the fear that every interaction will become heavier than they can hold. This is why steadiness wins where force fails. And most people do not learn that until they have already exhausted themselves trying. Communication has to change too. Not disappear. Change. You do not need 100 messages to make an impact. Often, one clear, calm, well-timed message carries more weight than 10 anxious ones. Strong communication is simple. It has space in it. It does not drag. It does not beg. It does not try to sell your value like a speech. It sounds like someone who respects themselves, someone who can connect without collapsing, someone who can leave room in a conversation without filling every silence with fear. This is where selective engagement becomes your advantage. You do not answer from panic. You answer from intention. You do not jump every time they send a small signal. You notice it. You read the energy. You choose how to respond. Sometimes lightness works better than seriousness. Sometimes a short reply is stronger than a long one. Sometimes silence says more than another round of emotional effort. The point is not to follow some trick. The point is to stop acting from urgency. Let your replies carry calm. Let them feel your life still has motion. Let them sense that your attention means something, not that it is endlessly available on command. When people are used to getting all of you with no standard, they stop feeling the value of your presence. But when your energy becomes measured, warm, and self-respecting, something changes. They start leaning in. They start reading more into your tone. They start noticing what is no longer being handed to them automatically. And yes, that quiet shift can wake up curiosity faster than emotional pressure ever could. If you are still listening, this is where the whole thing starts getting interesting. This becomes even stronger when your life starts feeling visibly fuller. Growth is attractive because it is real. It cannot be faked for long. When you start learning, creating, healing, building, exploring, laughing more, sleeping better, dressing with more intention, taking care of your body, reconnecting with people who bring out your best, your whole atmosphere changes, and people notice atmosphere before they understand it. They notice the ease in your face, the steadiness in your tone, the fact that your world is no longer waiting around one person's mood swings. Listen carefully here. Growth is not revenge. It is not a performance. It is the natural result of turning your energy back toward your own life. And that is exactly why it becomes magnetic. The more alive you become, the more your presence carries motion. The more motion it carries, the harder it is to ignore. They begin to see that your happiness is not sitting on a shelf waiting for their return. It is active. It is unfolding. It is becoming something they can feel from a distance. And that changes how they relate to you. You are no longer the emotional safety net they assumed would always be there. You become someone whose world has color, pace, and depth. Someone whose time feels valuable. Someone whose peace looks earned. This is usually the stage where people who once seemed so sure about leaving begin to reappear in small ways. A message, a reaction, a check-in, a soft step back in. Not always dramatic, but noticeable. Not always loud, but real enough to make you pause and see the pattern more clearly. Space matters more than most people think. Real space, not cold punishment. Not a silent battle to see who breaks first. Healthy space gives the nervous system room. It lets intensity settle. It allows absence to do what pressure never can. When someone always has access to you, they rarely get the chance to feel the shape of your absence. But when you step back and re-enter your own life, they begin to experience the difference. That is where missing you can start. Not because you vanished to manipulate them, but because you stopped flooding the connection with pursuit. Space creates contrast, and contrast creates clarity. A person who felt crowded can finally breathe. A person who assumed you would always chase can finally feel your stillness. A person who kept moving away without consequence may begin to sense that your energy is no longer endlessly waiting at the door. That does something. It wakes people up. And while space works, boundaries protect the version of you that is growing. Boundaries are not walls. They are standards. They teach others how to meet you. They tell the truth about what you will and will not carry. No mixed signals forever. No endless half-effort while you overgive. No emotional scraps dressed up like connection. The stronger your boundaries become, the less your energy leaks into things that drain you. And strangely enough, that makes you more attractive because clear boundaries signal self-respect. They show that your kindness is real, but your value is not available for misuse. Soft heart, strong edge, warmth without surrender, care without self-erasure. That balance changes everything. There is also a subtle social layer that many people ignore. When your life includes strong friendships, good routines, meaningful talks, real momentum, creative work, and moments of honest joy, you radiate something others can feel. It is not about showing off. It is not about trying to make anyone jealous. It is simply proof that your life has weight and meaning. And that kind of social proof matters because it reflects value without you needing to announce it. When others enjoy your company, trust your energy, and respond warmly to your presence, it becomes harder for someone to keep seeing you as just an option they can drift in and out of without thought. They start registering your value through the way life responds to you. Add emotional neutrality to that, and the effect gets even stronger. Emotional neutrality does not mean you feel nothing. It means you stop swinging wildly every time the dynamic changes. You do not turn one warm message into a future story in your head. You do not turn one distant day into an identity crisis. You stay measured. You stay observant. You let patterns reveal themselves before you decide what they mean. That control changes everything. Because the moment your peace no longer rises and falls with their every move, your energy becomes harder to control from the outside. And that is freedom. Real freedom, not the kind that looks detached, the kind that feels centered. And when people sense that, they respond differently. Some lean in, some pull away. But either way, you are no longer being dragged around by uncertainty. You are finally back in your own hands. If you are still here, this is where everything starts connecting. Calm, growth, space, boundaries, purpose, social life, steady communication. They are not separate tricks. They are one message lived through your behavior. I care, but I do not abandon myself anymore. And when they do come back, because often they do in some form, timing becomes everything. The wrong energy can ruin a reopening before it even begins. If they reach out and you unload all your pain in the first exchange, the old fear comes right back. If they test the door and you hit them with pressure, the moment closes. But if you meet the contact with grounded energy, light curiosity, and self-respect, the whole tone changes. You do not need to act cold. You do not need to act too excited. You simply stay centered. This is where many people win or lose the next chapter. Re-engagement is not about pretending nothing happened. It is about not dragging the entire emotional history into every fresh interaction. Let the first moments breathe. Let the energy show that you are different now, more stable, more selective, more aware. A little warmth goes a long way. A little ease can open a door that panic would slam shut. But be careful here. A returning person is not always a changed person. Watch actions. Watch consistency. Watch whether they move toward real connection or just temporary comfort. This part matters more than people realize, so do not miss it. Calm is not only attractive, calm is clarifying. It helps you see what is actually in front of you. If they come back with mixed energy, your job is not to overwork the connection. Your job is to stay grounded enough to notice what is truly being offered, and that is the part that gives you back your dignity. You stop asking, "How do I keep them?" and start asking, "Does this dynamic deserve access to me in the form it is showing up?" That question changes your whole life, because now you are no longer trying to win someone at the cost of yourself. You are looking at whether what they bring is healthy, clear, and mutual. That is a different level of power. The deeper truth beneath all of this is simple. The real power is not in making someone return. The real power is becoming someone who no longer collapses when they leave. That inner shift changes everything. Once your peace is no longer chained to someone else's fear, your whole life opens up. You think more clearly. You choose more wisely. You stop confusing intensity with love. You stop treating unpredictability like passion. You stop calling anxiety chemistry. You begin to notice what feels calm, mutual, steady, and safe. And that alone can change the kind of relationships you allow into your life. Ironically, this is often the moment your magnetism becomes strongest, because there is something deeply powerful about a person who has suffered, learned, and become softer without becoming weaker. Someone who can love deeply without losing their center. Someone who can stay open without chasing. Someone who can walk away from confusion instead of trying to outlove it. That energy is rare, and people feel rare energy. Grounded people create grounded attraction. They create peace in the room. They do not need to perform. They do not need to demand. Their presence speaks before they do. And when someone senses they can no longer shake you with inconsistency, one of two things happens. They either rise and meet you differently, or they fall away and reveal they were never willing to. Either way, you win, because now your self-respect is leading the story. So if you want the simplest version of the entire message, it is this. Stop making their withdrawal the center of your life. Stop feeding the cycle with panic. Stop confusing pursuit with love. Turn your energy back towards your own mind, body, standards, goals, joy, and peace. Let your calm become real. Let your confidence become quiet. Let your life become full enough that nobody's temporary distance can empty it. Speak with intention. Move with dignity. Give space without fear. Hold boundaries without anger. Stay warm but do not overoffer. Stay open but do not overchase. Keep your life moving. Keep your center intact. Because the strange truth is, the more deeply rooted you become in yourself, the more powerfully people feel your presence. Some will come back because they finally feel the difference. Some will come back because your absence gave them clarity. Some will come back because they sense the storm inside you is gone. And some will not come back at all, which can be its own kind of gift. Either way, you are no longer trapped in the old loop, and that changes everything. You are no longer begging for scraps of certainty. You are no longer waiting to be chosen so you can feel whole. You become the steady one, the clear one, the one who can love without surrendering self-worth. And that is the real shift. That is the real attraction. That is the real freedom. Because once you live from that place, everything changes. You sleep better. You breathe easier. You stop checking your phone like it holds your value. You stop reading into every delay, every mood, every tiny signal. You become harder to confuse because you are no longer disconnected from yourself. And here is the part that matters most. Even if they never return, you still win. Because this was never only about them. It was about getting yourself back. It was about rebuilding the part of you that got lost in the chase. It was about becoming someone whose peace is earned from within, not borrowed from someone else's attention. And when you truly get that, your energy changes in a way people can feel instantly. You stop trying to force love. You stop trying to rescue unclear situations. You stop trying to prove your worth to people who only value you when they feel you slipping away. Instead, you become calm, clear, warm, strong. You let people meet you or miss you. You let their behavior reveal their level. You stop over-explaining what your silence already makes clear. And from that place, life opens. Love becomes cleaner. Connection becomes safer. Attraction becomes healthier. And the best part is, you do not have to chase any of it. If this spoke to where you are right now, take this with you. The goal is not to get them back at any cost. The goal is to come back to yourself so fully that anyone who enters your life has to meet you there.